Okay, so um, I'll go ahead and make a quick save here. So what I can kind of explain with bee hopping based on what I know understand so far. So you see this little meter at the bottom. This is my speed meter. And so I'm always running because there's like an always running setting on. So if I just run straight forward, my like average like my speed is consistently at 304. And then you notice how as I turn while I am moving, my speed increases. This is kind of like makes sense because like in real life, like as you if you go the same speed as you turn, your gravity like increases and like you don't necessarily go faster, but it feels like you go faster. I think that's what this game's physics is trying to like emulate. So the biggest thing, it's like this is the biggest thing I've come to understand about bunny hopping here is it has so much to do with the speed that you turn. So that's just like one part of it. It's like as you turn, my speed goes up. And if I turn more sharply but smoothly at the same time, my speed can hit the 400s. And 400 is like decently pretty quick. Now, um so there's also this thing called free strafing where specifically what you do is you so before what I was doing was just pressing W. I was not pressing A or D at all and just using my mouse to turn myself as I am like running through this area. But if I hold W and D or W and A, and then it's like a combination of two things. So if you strafe move, notice how like my speed uh, kind of increases a little bit almost, and then the next factor that you add into it, or the next variable that you add into it, is the turning. So if I hit W and D, and then I also move my mouse in that direction, if I do it too slowly, you can't see anything really happen. But if I do it a little bit quickly, you can see that my speedometer goes pretty, and especially if I do it like quick, you see how it goes consistently into the 400s or 430s even. So like this is kind of like the key first step. Yeah, it doesn't have to be in the air just yet. This is just kind of like the precursor stuff that is necessary to know because you need to understand like how speed works even when on the ground and like what the game kind of like gives you. So does it work that way in other games? I mean, I have no idea. I just know this works in Quake specifically. But yeah, so and as I do this turn and as my speed increases, so like what you want to do essentially is you want to do this like quick movement. Like this is just like me over like speedrunners will do like this motion very very fast. But I'm just trying to like demonstrate so you're able to easily see the speedometer at the bottom. And so when it hits that 460 or like whatever high number, that's when I jump. Because when you jump, that number is stays in place. So you see how like I turn, and as I turn and my speed increases, and then I jump forward, it locks that number. It locks that number all the way until I land on the ground. So this is what starts the bunny hop, because you want to make sure that when you launch into the air, you have a really high speed. So like 400's really kind of meh, and then like a really good one is like 460. Like that's like good, and then 480 is like what pros get. But you kind of get the general idea. Like that was 430. So like another key component here is you want to make sure that you don't jump until you've achieved that number. So like one common mistake that I was making at first is that I was jumping too early. So like I would do like this and I wasn't going to get enough speed because I was trying to jump too early. And you see how like stays in the 300s like that? Sometimes it works, like if you do it, like if you kind of like wait for the physics to catch up quickly enough, then it kind of works like that. But yeah, like you want to make sure that like you almost like fully complete the turn and then jump. Or like that's why staring at the speed helps a good bit, because you can see when your speed reaches its highest point and then jump, and you can practice doing that and looking in the direction in order to achieve that speed. Okay, so that's the initial launch. Let me get some water. Because the first jump to start it is the most important part, but I know to at least maintain that speed and gain momentum, what you need to do is you need to keep jumping. So this is the general idea. Like, this is probably the bunny hopping that you're familiar with seeing, where, you know, it's like boing, 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 like this. So you notice how my speedometer is able to continuously stay at that 400, and it's actually even goes up sometimes as I'm turning. So how it works as you're jumping, so it's actually, once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy to do. But like, so once you get this initial jump, as soon as you jump in the air, if you immediately hit space, so like I'm gonna hit space like twice really quickly here and hold space on the second time that I hit it, and it will buffer the second jump. See? So like you have a lot of time. Like basically as soon as you go into the air, you can just press space and hold it again, or whatever your jump button is, because not every Quake speedrunner uses space to jump. Some of them use right click. But you're able to buffer this jump for like an extremely long time. Yeah, you don't need to scroll to jump at all. It's extremely lenient. And this is important because as soon as you land, remember, as soon as you land, you lose a lot of speed. Even if you're holding forward, you still lose a lot of speed. Even if I like touch the ground and like try to manually time it, I'll lose a lot of speed. And like, that's why being able to do it like preemptively is so that you literally only touch the ground for as like short as possible. So that's like one of the components, because like, so what you can do is if I just jump without even like moving the cursor or anything, just jump and just keep chaining these jumps over and over, it might so like this is me doing it manually. I lose a lot of speed, and then now I'm gonna like buffer my jumps correctly. I still lose speed, but I don't lose it as quickly. And that's me like fucking it up. You buffer every jump and only accelerate on the ground. Why does the speed change sometimes? So the speed changes because it's strafing. This game's physics has it to where like you have air control as you're strafing. You do lose a little bit of speed on the ground from friction, but you gain speed through air excel, and air excel is done through strafing left and right. So one specific, also this is another like rookie thing to kind of, you know, like new players like me, you need to keep this in mind. The only time you're ever pressing W is for the initial jump. After that, you're not pressing W anymore. You're only pressing you're only pressing A and D. Like, you're never pressing W anymore after this, because the strafing of being in the air, this is what allows you to accelerate or maintain your speed. So that's like one part of it. And also, you gain speed as you move your mouse in the direction that you're strafing. So right here, if I do like on the second jump, I strafe to the left, or like I jump to the left and also I'm strafing to the left, so I'm holding D while I'm also holding space so that I jump in that direction, and I also move my mouse in that direction for about half the duration that I'm in the air, and then I start moving my mouse to the left as I'm about to prepare myself to hit A and jump to the left. and you just kind of like repeatedly go back and forth like this, and you do that over and over and over again, and that's how like you maintain speed. And then you gain speed when doing this by making like tight corners. So that's kind of essentially like how it works. But yeah, like the biggest thing when you're bunny hopping is your mouse movement. This is like one of the biggest things, because like it's really easy to get the hang of like, okay, well, as I'm jumping, I gotta hold space to buffer my jump, and I gotta make sure I alternate between A and D. But like if your mouse movement is like bad, then you're gonna lose a lot of speed. You can't maintain speed anymore. So you have to make sure that your mouse movements are quick but smooth, and that they line up with how you're strafing. Like it's almost like a weird hand-eye coordination thing that you have to do. But like for me, it took me a minute because like there's a separation between me hitting A, D in space and then me moving my mouse at the same time. Like once you get those to be correlated the same way in your mind, then like this becomes kind of natural. Like the more that I do this, the more natural it feels. So yeah, but you also don't want to turn too tightly, because it's not like I can just do this and then hold on. Like it's not like I can just do this and then just make like a really sharp turn and just gain a frick ton of momentum. It actually like stops. Like the game's physics don't function that quickly. Now it is useful for like rocket jumping if you want to like go real high up and you just want to turn around. You can just hold forward and turn your mouse, and your mouse like kind of does all the work for you. But it's so much of the air control and so much of the bunny hopping has to do with your mouse movement. So I recognize that you can like move your mouse in like an infinity shape. That's one way to do it. If like you want to like think about moving your mouse in a certain shape, you can also kind of do it in an arch or like a smile. Though I don't think that's as effective as the and you don't even need to do it like you can just do it like back and forth. You don't even like I like to do this because this like kind of keeps things smooth. But yeah, it's so much about like, so that's why it's one thing to be able to bunny hop like in one direction, but it's another thing to be able to bunny hop continuously around corners. Because like being able to bunny hop around corners, especially on a map like this, is pretty important. Like I'm not even doing a very good bunny hop. So like the cool thing is like if I gain enough speed, I can actually make that gap just purely through bunny hopping. I did it earlier today when I was practicing. You can do it on both sides. You just have to hit a certain speed threshold. So yeah, once you get the hang of it, like this is like the main method of transportation. Like good speeds are if you're able to stay consistently, like actually what is like I'm not able to demonstrate it myself. But like you can hit speeds of like over 500 and the bar like actually changes color to like a red color if you hit speeds that high, but I'm not good enough yet to hit those. But even like 450 is still decently fast, because remember, your walking speed when going straight is like 304, 320, and like as you turn it's like whatever, or like this isn't your walking, this is your running speed, but like going even 450 consistently around corners, like that's still pretty fast, but obviously you can be faster. And then another thing to point out is like obviously if you're going around corners, you wanna keep strafing in the direction of the corner. So like you don't want to obviously try to like do AD every single time. So I can literally just continuously like go around this whole room bunny hopping and only hitting S if I like have a smooth enough mouse movement. You can actually use W and B hopping to go faster. Yeah, so that's a more advanced concept, but that's called power bunny hopping, where right as you're landing, you very briefly hit the forward key. And some people even bind this to like not W. They bind it to a different key, like right click or something like that. But you can do that so that as you land from the bunny hopping, you don't lose as much speed from friction. You still lose a little bit of speed, but you don't lose as much. And sometimes power bunny hopping is like required. I'm not even at a level remotely where I need to even be worried about power bunny hopping if like my normal bunny hops have a hard time even staying consistent. So yeah, that's what I have kind of gathered from so far in playing Quake on like how bunny hopping like works. And you just essentially like, I'm sure there's more things, there's more nuances I'll learn, like how to like consistently get really good pre-strafes, because like even these pre-strafes are pretty bad. There's probably like more like tiny things I'm missing. But again, it's like all about smooth mouse movement, timing your jump at the right time, having that good launch, and then maintaining that momentum. That's just pretty much what it's all about.